Having great pictures is probably the most important part of your digital product listings. Sure, having good SEO and having a great quality product are also very important. However, if nobody clicks on it, it won't matter if it came up in search, and they'll never know the quality of your products. So you need to make sure that your pictures are on point. In today's video, I'm going to go over everything that you need to know in order to create fabulous photos that are going to stand out above your competition and get your customers' attention. But that's not really all, because you need your customer to understand exactly what they are purchasing and to get excited about that purchase. So I'll also be going over some essential elements that you will need in your photos in order to let your customers know what the benefits are and what it can be used for. We'll also discuss the importance of having high quality and easy to read photos, while also being able to show the customer how to use the product and keeping a consistent theme across the board. Additionally, we'll talk about mockups, how to use them, where to find them, and how we can edit them in programs like Canva and Photoshop. And finally, we will cover how to create video for you to add in your listing photos, because nowadays that is where it's at. There are going to be lots of great tips and tricks in this video, so make sure you keep watching. Let's talk about the different types of photos that you should have on each listing. The first one, most obvious one, is going to be the thumbnail, which is your main picture. This is the one that customers are going to see on the search results. This is the one that you need to not only get across what the product is, but you need to grab your customer's attention as well. You want to make sure you're showing the most relevant and important information, because you want to actually keep the picture pretty clean and simple. You want as large as you can, and you don't want to have too much on there. Or keep in mind that the customer is going to be seeing this as a small thumbnail on their page. If they're looking on their mobile, it's going to be even smaller. So you want to make sure that they can clearly see what's in the picture and what they're getting, and it needs to catch their attention. The next type of image you want to consider having on your listing is one that's going to show what the product is for. And you want to show this by example. So if the product is meant to be printed, you want to show it printed. If it's meant to be used on a tablet, you want to show it being used on a tablet. You're also going to want to have a photo that's going to show you the features and benefits. Usually you want to use like bullet points on this photo. It makes it a little bit easier to see. It's not looking like a big paragraph to read. Another image you should have is how it works. Whether you're explaining the steps to downloading it, whether you're showing how you can personalize it, whatever it may be that they need to know about how to actually use the product, you do want to have a picture that kind of shows that as well. You also want to have a photo that shows what's included, whether there's different formats, or there's different sizes, or there's different colors. You want to show everything that would be included in the product that they're receiving. And finally, I recommend having a picture that states this is a digital product only. Yes, you probably have it in the listing, you probably have it in the title, in the description, but people don't read a lot of the time. So just to be on the safe side, I would make sure you also had a picture that said nice and bold that this product is a digital product only and no physical product will be sent. Okay, now that we know the types of pictures you should have, let's go over some specifications for these pictures. All pictures should be high quality images, 3000 by 2400 pixels, 70 dpi is what I use. You can use a max of 10 pictures per listing on Etsy, so keep that in mind when you're deciding what the best pictures are. I suggest using all 10 pictures. You want to make sure your pictures are clear and easy to read. No crazy fonts. You may want them to look cute, but it is far more important that the customer can read them clearly. Too many times I see some crazy script that you have to struggle to read, and people won't. They will just move on to the next. Your picture should all have a general theme and not be completely random. Whether it is the background color, the extra graphics, or fonts, you will want to keep them consistent. One extra note I have for you is if you're using graphics on your picture, just be careful. You want to make sure that it is obvious that those graphics are not included in your digital product. For example, if you're selling digital stickers and you just have some random graphics on your pictures in the background that are cute, like flowers or something else like that, the customer may get confused and think that those graphics are included in that sticker pack. So you just want to keep this in mind when you're designing. You don't really want to add too many graphics unless they're very, very obviously not included. Obviously, this would depend on what type of digital product you're selling. And of course, logos are fine. Of course, you can take your own pictures. You can print out your printable greeting card and take a picture of it sitting on a desk. You can bring up your digital planner on your actual iPad and take a picture of what it looks like on there. However, what you do need to keep in mind is that when you're creating a digital shop, it's pretty important to have a lot of listings. And if you are having to print things out or take manual pictures of things for all of your listings, not only can this get super time consuming, but you're also potentially be wasting a lot of resources. So your best bet here is to use mock-up photos or Flatlays and create all your photos digitally. Saves you time, saves you money, and is easily repeatable over and over again. You know you're gonna get the same quality every single time. There are plenty of places where you can find mock-ups, and here's a list of a few of my favorite places to find them. Place It, Creative Market, Envato Elements, smartmockups.com, Canva, Unsplash, and of course you can always go on Etsy and find mock-ups on there. And I'm going to show you right now how to do a search on Etsy and show you what you can find for mock-ups on there. So if we head on over to Etsy here, you can see I've searched for digital listing photo templates. And here you will find tons of different mock-ups and templates that you can use where you just import your photos, and they're all fairly cheap. I mean, you're only having to purchase them once and you can use them over and over again. And most of these you'll find are for Canva, because Canva is one of the easier ones to use. But if you're using Photoshop, I'm sure you can find some in here for those as well. You maybe just type in Photoshop. But let's look at these really quick. So these come with some backgrounds. Let's see what options they have here. I mean, you could change a couple of backgrounds. They have text, some really cute, you know, other graphics added, some iPads, things like that. And this one's actually $25, so that's a much more expensive than, say, this one at $7.72, which again also has tons of varieties. You can add backgrounds very easily, and then these are placeholders, so you can just add your photos right into there, very easy in Canva. So let's jump over to Canva now, and I will show you how you can create some from scratch, and you can also see what Canva has to offer inside of their program. So here we are in Canva, and the first thing that I want to show you is just a quick search that you can do to find some ideas, inspiration, and maybe even mock-ups to start with. Let's look up digital products photos and see what comes up. So here you'll be able to see a few examples, maybe this one here. Has the iPad, maybe you want to show something like that. Here's also a good idea. There's quite a few. That one's on a phone. There's a few here, not a whole lot to choose from here. There's a digital planner here. Let's jump over to, let's try another search. Let's do iPad mock-up photos. You know, whatever, depending on the digital product that you're selling, your search may vary. But of course we know I'm doing digital planners and stickers, so that's what I'm looking for now. Oh, this is really cute. We've got some in the background and the main photo. There's another one here that's a different size. That's very, very cute. If you were to bring that up, let's bring this one up. And here you see they're all individual little pictures that you would be able to place your own pictures in. And then as well as, if you see this here, you'd be able to just add your photo in there. And then you can change your text. You can change the background color to whatever you want it to be. And you can change things around. Maybe we want a different, font. Maybe you want to change this to, you know, your website name, whatever it may be. These are some good places to start, like placeholders. This one's very cute. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in and I'm going to show you how to go ahead and create one from scratch. If you did a search on Etsy and you saw someone else with a similar picture, or you know, you like this element, but then you like this background, and you can create your own. But I'm going to start off first. Let's create a design. We're going to do a custom size. And I like to do my photos as 3,000 for Etsy. 3,000 by 2,400. That's what I always start them out as. And then we start here. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to show you a few examples of things that you could create. I'm going to go pretty quickly because I want to show you 3 or 4 different variations just to give you an idea of how easy it really is. But first things first, we're going to start with a background. How about this time we're just going to start with a nice simple background color. How about that looks cute. I like a nice little cute little gradient. All right. Now I want to say, well, let's see what photos I want to add in. I have some photos uploaded here. I'm just probably going to use just kind of the same one over and over again because this is just kind of a placeholder. So let's say that this is one of our pages. I'm going to go ahead and resize this a little bit, maybe turn it. But first thing I want to do is, you see it's kind of flat. So I want to add a drop shadow. So if you want to add a drop shadow, you just go to edit image and you can come down here to shadows and you can do drop shadow. That gives us a little shadow here. If you want to adjust how big that shadow is, you just click these little lines here and you can maybe take the opacity down a little bit, maybe move the blur up a little bit more, whatever you might want to do, hit apply. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead, and this is a fairly simple and easy one to do. I'm going to maybe go ahead and have these at an angle. I'm going to go ahead and grab both of these and I'm going to go ahead and multiply. Super simple because I'm using one, but if you're gonna do different, I mean, I would suggest that you do different items here, different pictures, if you will. Let me actually move this over a little bit because we are going to want a little more room for text. Let's go ahead and move it over a little bit. See how easy it is. You can just move things around, just grab them all. So we're just starting with that. So let's see about adding a little bit of text in here. Let's go ahead, let's add, this is gonna be a heading. You can always change it. This is just to start. We'll go ahead and add a heading here. I'm gonna say over 30 pages, over 30 page templates. Okay. So let's go ahead and click off here. We want it to fit over here. Let's change this to, let's go back to, let's go down to 92. Seems a little small. We can make that as big as we want. All right, I like that. That looks good. Maybe you want to change, I don't like the gap here, so we want to go over here and change the spacing a little bit. And unfortunately the box is over it, but you see in the background there, you can make them a little bit closer. It's a little better. All right, let's go ahead. Let's add another text box. Let's say including. Right. And we're gonna put maybe a little. All right, now let's add another box. Let's add some bullet points. But first, let's list all this out. All right, so what we want to do then is we want to make this bullet points, and we want to make that to the left. Okay, and then that's a little bit big. We want to do that a little bit smaller. So let's highlight all of this, and we're gonna take this down to a reasonable size. Okay, so I move it over a little bit more. Actually, I think we could probably even make this a bit bigger. Okay, that's our little title, including this. You get the general idea here. There we go. No time at all. We have one done. Let's start a second one. Let's go ahead and let's add a pink background. You know what? Let's make it a little special. Let's add maybe an element. Let's add let's go back here. Let's add say a rectangle or rectangle shape. All right. Oh, what I want to do is I want to turn this. Let's go ahead and I want to split this. Oops. Corner to corner, that's pretty close, so drag it out. And then I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna change this color. Let's change it to this green. Okay, so now we have a nice little background. Now let's go ahead and let's add some text. Let's add a text box. We'll add one to the top. Oops. We'll add one to the top. Click heading. Let's make this one say 6 bonus templates. 6 bonus templates. Let's go to my favorite one over here. Let's go ahead and click off. Let's move this to the top. We can center. We're gonna move that to the top, and then let's add some pages again to our uploads. We're gonna add our pages. Let's add our drop shadow again. Drop shadow. I'm just gonna leave it as is for now. And let's go ahead and let's add some pages to here. We can resize. You get the general idea. If they weren't all the same thing, it might be a little bit easier to see. But now you have a nice little range of your photos. Super, super simple. You can also make these all a bit smaller if you want. So they fit in there a little bit better. All right, let's go on to the next example. I'm going to show you how to add, that automatically add a background. We don't want that. Let's go ahead and change it to white. And let's add something to the actual background instead of just color. background. Let's search backgrounds. Let's go to graphics. You'll see tons of graphics you can start with. Let's do this. If you add it like that, it should just make it as the background and fill it in just like that. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Let's add another text box. Let's say 3 different layouts. And we're gonna add the same font because you want to keep things cohesive. You know, you be using the same fonts if these are all going to be different pictures for the same item. You may not want to have tons of different backgrounds, but now we have that. Let's go ahead and let's add our picture again. Add a little drop shadow. CC. Maybe we want to we're just gonna add 3 of these. Let's go ahead and bring this to the front. Okay. And yeah, it copies the images. Apparently you have to add the drop shadow per image. Okay. All right, so that's cute, but you know what? These are kind of small, so let's make them a little bit bigger. If you hold Alt down, it'll make it bigger from the center. Cute. Let's move these in a little bit so you can see a little more of the background. And there you have it. There's another layout. Nice and cute. Get somebody's attention. Okay, so there are 3 different layouts for you right there. Okay, let's create another one, and I'm going to show you how to find some mock-ups that you can use inside, or that you can find right inside of Canva. So let's go over to Elements here, and let's do a little search, and let's say maybe iPad mock-up. And you have photos that you can use and place them in, or if you want to create your own background, you can kind of go here for the graphics, and you can also find some in frames. So, there's tons of choices here. You can see you have the pencils and the actual, let's try to put this in there, and let's resize it. And then I believe that one should be a clear, let's see if that's a clear background. Yeah, you see this has a clear background, so you're able to just go ahead. This one's not the most realistic looking one, but there's more in here that are much more realistic looking that you can find, and there are just tons and tons and tons. But just keep in mind that if you see this little crown here, that's for Pro only. So if you have the free version, you'll have to pay extra for those. I definitely highly recommend, if you're going to be using this for business, it's a pretty cheap fee to be able to have access to everything. It's definitely well worth it. But let's say I wanted to add that photo, say, in this iPad. So I can, resize it as close as I can get it here. And what you want to do then is you want to send this back. So it's behind that layer. That's why they make it transparent in the center, so you don't have to worry about how that edge is going to look. You can just send it back, and it will put it right there behind it. If you want to, if you want to adjust it because it's behind it, you just hit Control and click on it. So you would click once, and now it's selected the item on top. Hold Control, click again, and that will give you access to what's underneath. So if you want to just move it around a little bit and get it to fit a little bit better, and then there you go. It looks like it's on an iPad. Again, there are some that are more realistic. So let's, let me show you something besides, iPads and iPhones, a different example. So let's say that you are selling greeting cards. Let's go ahead here, and we will say greeting card mock-ups. Maybe we want the actual whole photo with the background, because that makes things a lot easier. You see here how many different mock-ups are available that you could choose from. Let's just pick one. Okay, nice and cute. Now you can go over here and go to your photos, and I have a photo here of a simple card that I wanted to do. And while this technically, I guess, isn't a mock-up, it's more of a flat lay than it is a mock-up. So you just have to kind of, you're gonna have to make it fit. Maybe you have to search, depending on your dimensions of your item, you may have to search for different items that would fit better. It's a little tedious here. Theirs is not exact, but you get the general idea. Pretty realistic if you ask me. Super cute, super easy. Tons and tons and tons you can do in here. I definitely recommend it, even though I don't actually use it that much myself as far as for my product photos. My product videos are a different story, but I will definitely get into that next. But I do want to go ahead, let me show you how to export these, and then we'll jump into Photoshop and I will show you how you can create your pictures in Photoshop. So when you're ready to export your photos, you're going to come over here and you're going to click share. Okay, then you're going to click download. And now here is where you want to leave it as PNG, and you can choose transparent background or not. With these you don't want to, because they are, you know, you already have backgrounds on there. Here's where you can choose which pages you actually want to download. If you want to download all, or there's only certain ones, you just check these on and off. And then when you're all set, you just go ahead and hit download. And then you will see it should, well, at least with Chrome, it pops up on the bottom here, but you should find it in your downloads in your computer, either way. And that is it. It's super easy, super, super easy. There it is. Okay, so here's all the files downloaded. You can click on one. It's nice and crisp and clean and beautiful and all ready to go. Okay, before we hop on into Photoshop, where I show you how to work with smart objects and creating your photos in there, I just wanted to quickly show you where I go to find mock-up photos, because I actually do pay for the yearly membership for this site, so I have unlimited downloads and free commercial use, included commercial use for these products. But there are tons of places, as I stated before, that you can go to find these mock-ups. But I am here in Envato Elements, and I've done a search for iPad mock-up. And again, whatever you're selling, greeting card mock-ups, art mock-ups, or canvas mock-ups, I mean, there's tons you can find in here. For the sake of this video, I will show you the iPad mock-ups. There's tons of them. So you can do just regular photos. You can do graphic templates. They also have video where you can, it's green screen and you can import your video right in there. There's just so much, regular graphics, add-ons, so much in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into graphic templates. That's what I prefer to use. You can choose on the side here which program that you use. As you can see, most of them are gonna be done in Photoshop. And this is why I like to use a professional program like Photoshop. Don't get me wrong, Canva is amazing. I use it for a lot of things. It's very cheap. So there's just so much you can do in there. But in my opinion, you can get some very realistic, professional looking photos if you use something like, if you use Photoshop and use mock-up photos like these. I mean, look at how beautiful some of these are. A lot of them will give you, you know, different variations to the mock-ups, and you can change the backgrounds and obviously the photos. Envato Elements actually also owns Creative Market, I believe, and there you can go, you'll find the same, you should find the same products, and you can buy them per use, but it's definitely a lot cheaper to do it this way. So I have here in Photoshop one of those templates that I was talking to you about. It's pretty simple. You've got your little pencil here, you've got your iPad, but if you're not familiar with Photoshop, it can get a little bit confusing. Now, Envato Elements and many places where you're gonna, almost all places where you're gonna purchase these types of templates, different people are making them, so they may have these set up a little bit differently, but usually they're pretty easy to follow and see exactly what you're working with over here. The green one would indicate this is where you're gonna put your design that's gonna go inside the iPad. There's a lot of extra space around here, so if I wanted to add text on the sides, I can do that. I can add, you know, a background here, change the background color. Say go down to background. You see this red here. You can click here and you can change the color to whatever color you want. But as long as you're clicked in this background area, you can also add a picture back there if you want to, if you had another photo that you wanted to use. So we go to place and we will go up here and we will say add a photo, and you see it adds it right here to the background. Okay, so it's right back here and it's behind all of your shadows and everything else back there. I don't know if this particular one looks good, so we'll delete that. Let's go ahead and I have, let's pick like a bluish color. I like that. Okay. Now, if you wanted to resize this or move this, this is where you're gonna have to, it gets a little bit tricky. You do wanna know about Photoshop a little bit in order to do that. What you wanna do is you wanna make sure that you click your entire workspace over here. And then in order to move what you have selected, if it's multiple layers, you just have to make sure to hold Control when you go to move it. And then you can move it and you see all the shadows and all the layers are moving with it. Okay, so let's say I want to move this here, and then let's say I want to make this bigger. I want a different size here. Again, make sure I have the whole workspace so that I have the tablet, the pencil, and all the shadows selected. And then I'm going to hit Control T, and now that's going to give me a box where I can resize everything together. And you see it's going to resize shadows and all of that. Now let's say I wanted to move this pencil, then I would want to make sure that I have the pencil layer selected. You do not want to have the pencil layer itself has the pencil and the shadows. So you don't want to select just the pencil or just the shadows. You want to make sure that you have this whole group selected. So again, because it's a group, if I try to click here and just drag one thing, it's just going to drag the thing I selected. It's not going to make a difference what was selected here. So you want to make sure you have the whole pencil layer selected, hold Control, and now you can move it and it will move the shadow along with it. And let's say I want to hit Control T. I want to turn this around. Okay. Let's make it like that. And then I want to move it over here. I could do that. You know, tons that you can do with it. This one does have some shadow overlays, which are kind of cool. These are actually turned off right now, but this one has different shadows you can have over the top, and everything else is underneath it. Some like leaves like coming in and things like that. See, a lot of these have a lot of elements that just add to it and make it look more realistic and more professional. Let's put the pencil back where it was because I liked it better on the bottom. If you want to add text or anything over here, any other pictures, your best bet is to create a new layer. So just click somewhere over here, maybe in the top, and then you click down here to add a new layer. And that way you don't have to worry about what you're doing affecting anything underneath. That is the best way to go. Let's go ahead and select the text tool, habit tracker, you know, whatever it is we want to say. Click here to be able to, this is the move tool, to be able to move it around. I mean, you know, if you're familiar with Photoshop, you should get all that. Maybe I want to list some stuff underneath. I don't want to get into too many details about it because I want to show you the most important part, which is to put your photo in here, because these mock-ups are smart mock-ups. And that's why you have this little thing that says enter design here. This little box with the corner here means that this is a smart item or smart object. So basically, if you, whatever you want to add here, you're going to double click on this box and it's going to bring up a new tab. And that box here is what's going to show up on that iPad. So now here is where you can place your image, whatever that image may be. Let's just go ahead with this one because that's here. Place your image here, resize it. But when you're done with your image and it's where you want it to be, and that's what you want it to show, you're simply, now remember you're in a separate tab here, so you're gonna go over and you're gonna say save. And so what that's gonna do is if you close this and come back over to the other tab, it has now put it right into the iPad. It has it at the right angle that it needs to have. There's even an overlay that you can't really see. And that's really it. I mean, it's as simple as that. You just add add the element in there. If you want to change it, again, you just double click here. You change it to whatever you want to change it to. Resize. Well, let's go ahead. Let's change this text. Let's say cleaning templates. Or text stuff over here on this side. Let's make it a bit smaller. There we go. Cleaning templates. Let's create a box. Maybe we want to list some elements. Let's go ahead and let's change this font because I don't know what's going on here. Again, we want to come over here. We can change the font. Let's change it to something a little simpler. And this is because of this tracking. I'm not sure what's going on here, but let's go ahead and add some tracking here. We gotta take this size way down. 30, let's say 36, and now we want to lower that back. Okay, so let's say I wanted to make, this is one other thing I wanted to show you, because putting features in your product photos, a lot of times you like to use bullet points, and with Canva it was pretty straightforward to add the bullet points, but in Photoshop it's not as straightforward. So let's left align this so that we can add some bullet points here. So really you want to start, you want to click and put your cursor where you want the bullet point to be. And let's say we want to add it there. And the way to do this is to go up to Window up here, and then we're going to go down to Glyphs. Okay. And now here in Glyphs is where we're going to find our bullet points. And so what we need to do is we need to find our font. Now when you go here, you can't really scroll down. You gotta click down here. But what you can do is you can hit, when you're in here, just hit the letter. Because what you're looking for is wingdings. That's where you're gonna find your bullet points. So just type W and it will take you down to W. And then you wanna go to wingdings, entire font. Okay, so now in wingdings, you can find all kinds of symbols and such in here. And then as you get down here, you can find all kinds of different bullet points you can use. And it's actually kind of cool because there are some really unique things that you can use. I've used this one before. Let's say we want to use this one, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to double click and it's going to add it in there, okay? And so now when you want to add more of those, you just have to highlight, Control C to copy, or go up to Edit and Copy, and then go to where you want the next one. All right, and then Control V to paste, or right click and paste, or edit and paste. And that's it. That's the only time, you know, now you can just go and Control V and paste your bullet points in there. But that's how you would go ahead and add some bullet points in there. So that's how you can edit mockups in Photoshop. There's really a lot you can do with it. A lot more than I'm showing here, but I would have to create a series of tutorials just to show you how to use Photoshop and work with mockups. But if you start with a really good mockup to begin with, you probably won't need to do a whole lot of editing, but you can add your logo and all of that. So that's really all I want to show you in Photoshop. I'm going to show you a couple ways that you can simply and quickly create a video that you can put up on your Etsy listings. But first, let's go over some of the specifications that these videos need to follow. As of recording this video, the video should be 5 to 15 seconds long, should contain no music, should be at least 1080, and should be formatted as one of the following: MP4, MOV, FLV, AAC, AVI, 3GP, or MPEG. They do not have a specific ratio that they recommend, but I do mine the same as my product photos at 5,000 by 3750, which is a 4:3 ratio. Or I can suggest 1920 by 1080 as well, which is a 16:9 ratio. There are many ways that you can create your video for your product listings. One of those ways is that you can record the item in actual use, and you can edit it in a video editing software like Premiere Pro. You can also bring it into Canva, which I am going to show you next. You can do a screen record of, say, your iPad or your computer, depending on what the product is. You can even just simply make a slideshow of the images that you already have. Now, let's jump into Canva and I will show you how you can create a video in Canva. Okay, so now we jump back into Canva here and I'm going to show you how you can create some videos for your listings in Canva. I already discussed, the multiple ways that you can create the actual video itself, whether you're recording it with a camera, whether you're doing screen share on your iPad. It really just depends on the product that you're creating. But in Canva, you can either upload your video, add images and text over it, you can have it on top or inside of other things like an iPad, or you can even just create your own slideshow, your own video with the photos that you have. And when you're searching in Canva, there's a few things you can do. So if you wanted to, say, do a search and say maybe iPad mock video, and plenty of things will come up where they show a video on the iPhone, where they show a video in the iPad. So you have a background and you have a video within your, there's a video within the actual iPad mock-up, or like this on the phone. There's a lot on the phone. But the other thing you can do, you can click here to see video templates that they already have. You can also do the same for slideshows. Let's go ahead and click in video and let's see some different examples. If you see here, the video is embedded and it just has some overlays here that you can add text to. Here's another video, breaking news, and you would just add your video to the back. So if you already have your video made and recorded, these are some really cute, fun, and creative ways that you can actually, instead of just putting the video up by itself, you can add some extra elements to it. So take some time and look through Canva and try to find some examples that they already have. There's so much in here. See if there's anything that you like that you can start off with. But in case you haven't actually recorded a video and you would like to see how you can create a slideshow from your photos that you have, I'm going to show you that right now. So let's go to Create Design, and we want to choose Slideshow Video. And that is automatically going to set it up for 1920 by 1080. And now in here you can see at the bottom is where you're going to add your pages. And then we can change the timing of them and all of that. So let's just start with one. Let's add one of the pictures I have here. Just simply go in and add it in. You can add text or you can add elements. There's different video elements that you can add. Let's say we want to add some hearts. And if you go to graphics here, often you're going to see some that are automatically animated. So if I just wanted to add this in, it's automatically animated. Let's Let's go ahead and leave these in here. And let's go over to our timing here. So when you're doing a slideshow, you're really not going to want 5 seconds of looking at the same thing. Now, Etsy videos can only be up to 15 seconds long, so you have a very short period of time to get in as much information as you want. So let's go ahead and just add some new photos. If you drag it over, it will fill in the back. You just got to drag it to the right spot. All right, these are not exactly sized correctly, but we're just showing an example here. So now your video at this point, because each of these are set up for 5 seconds, you can see is a 20-second long video. So what you want to do is you want to shorten these. This is how you're going to shorten the length of time per actual photograph. So we have to keep it under 15 seconds. Let's just kind of play with it. Let's see what it looks like if we make each of these only 2 seconds long. Let's see what we're working with here. So you want to drag your little playhead back here to start from the beginning. And if we hit play, we've got some hearts. We're switching to that and that. And at this point, we just have some easy transitions. So now, if we want to go in and we want to add some transitions, you just want to click on, be on one of these pages, and you can go up here and there's all kinds of transitions. I actually really like these photo movement transitions. When you're doing a slideshow, you see that you can add different motions to the actual pictures themselves, and those are pretty cool to add too. So when you have the photos all the way they are and you want to add some transitions, then you're going to do that, because as of right now, if you look, it just goes from one picture to the next picture, just switching. So if you want to add some transitions, you're going to right click on one of these down here and you're going to say add transition. And here is where you're going to be able to show how you switch to the next one. You have dissolve, you have slide, circle, color, all different transitions that you can play with to just add a little something to your slideshow. When you click one, you can change different things, duration, direction, origin, things like that. There's really tons you can do in here, which is pretty cool to create a slideshow. But what I do want to show you really quick before we end today's video is I wanted to show you how I have created my videos using a mock-up. Oh, I can show you my video here where I have a simple background, a photo that I have pulled in and created in Photoshop, and then simply just added the video in here, and that is super simple. Again, I did this by taking a screen share of my iPad and swiped through to create the video, and then once I brought this photo in, you would add a video the same way that you would add a photo. Once you upload the video file, you would just drag it over, and then this one's not a video, but you would just drag it over, resize it, and then your video is now uploaded to here. And so I'm going to show you really quick how to export your videos. You're going to go to share and download, the same as you would do. You want to make sure the same as you would do for photos. You want to make sure you're using an MP4. I tend to just make it the highest quality it could be. You just hit download and that's it. You'll have your MP4 video that you can now upload to Etsy. And that's it. At first it might be a little more difficult, take a little more time as you're trying to find like your style and your fonts and things like that. But once you find something you really like, from there it's just about putting in the new photos, maybe changing in the font a little bit, and things will get a lot quicker and a lot easier. I would recommend that you do try to find a style that you like and you stick with it. That way, as people are scrolling through your shop, things look a little bit more cohesive. So we're almost through. the hardest parts of getting your shop up and running. But you're not going to want to miss the next episode, because I'm going to show you how to do proper keyword research so that you can make some amazing titles and descriptions and get your products in front of the right customers and start making sales. So if you don't want to miss it, which I recommend you don't, then hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss it. And you know what? I'll see you in the next episode.